My name is Nechama Rothstein, and I'm the co-founder and director of Chabad at Vanderbilt, together with my husband, Rabbi Shlomo. It's an honor and a pleasure to celebrate this incredibly exciting event with you. A little word of Torah is the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, is coming this Monday night. On Rosh Hashanah, we thank God for the past year. We pray for a better one, and we work to improve ourselves. So what's a fitting preparation for such an awesome time, and what is a way that we merit God's blessing? The Torah portion that we read this week is Parshat Nitzavim. This is the one that is read always the week before Rosh Hashanah, and this has an answer for us. The opening verse is, Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem. Moses is speaking to the Jewish people, and he says to them, all of you are standing here today, you're standing together. Unity is the preparation for blessing, growth, and good new beginnings. And we look at this beautiful gathering here. This is unity. However, this kind of standing together doesn't negate individuality and uniqueness. And the verse in the Torah continues, and it lists 10 groups, different categories of roles they play in the community, professions, identities, different kinds of people. We have to acknowledge our differences, and yet we're all still standing together. So how do you accomplish that? For all have your own unique needs. We all have unique identities. One answer is that we really need to recognize and see the humanity and the divine spark in each other. It's that priceless, special part of us that makes us human. And that is what we focus on when we look at ourselves and at other people that unites us all, which is in many ways what we're celebrating today. We want to thank our dear Chancellor for creating an environment where all the unique communities at Vanderbilt can thrive and stand together in our humanity. There's a tradition to bless the new month during the Chabad preceding that Jewish month, and we do this 11 times during the year. This week is actually unique because it's a Chabad before the whole Jewish New Year, and we don't do that blessing. So the question is why? The first Chabad Rebbe explains in the teachings of the Maggid, learned from his teacher, the Baal Shem Tov, that the reason God is because God blesses this Shabbat, and then we have the power to bless the next 11. So may you take this blessing and bring blessing to others. And may God bless all of us with great health, happiness, success, abundance, and a truly happy, healthy, sweet new year together. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Nechama. That was absolutely beautiful, as always. And thank you for enabling and making this happen, for being the mother and the nurturer of Chabad at Vanderbilt, and my partner in everything. Sometimes people ask me how many children I have. So depending, we either have 9 or a couple thousand. But either way, it's a large number, and she takes care of them all. This is a very special moment. This is the last few moments of the year, actually. Rosh Hashanah starts on Monday, as my wife Nechama just said. We're going to sound the shofar. There's a tradition going back to the times of Moses, actually, to start sounding the shofar the month before Rosh Hashanah. As we know, that's when Moses went up to get the second tablets, the first day of Elul, and it says he went up the mountain with a shofar. And as we blow the shofar, we also imagine ourselves ascending, getting ready for these special times, these special days, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And it's also a wake-up call to help us shake us awake from the vanities of the world and allow us to focus on what's really important, on our friends, on our family, on each other, on our community. So if you're able to rise, please rise. If you're not, you can stay seated. And may you be blessed with a happy, healthy, sweet new year. I want to start by saying a few thank yous to people here, because as magnificent as this is, and it's truly magnificent, this would be completely impossible without a bunch of very special people in this room. The truth is, I would love to go around and say everybody's name, because it's every student that's here. The reason why we are in Nashville, Tennessee in the first place is only because of you. My wife and I moved here to start the Chabad house for you. And the parents and alum that are here, that are supporters, it's because of you that we're able to do this. You help us create this family. And none of this would happen if not for my dad. So I'm really happy my father's here. Thank you for joining us all the way from Baltimore, Maryland. Thanks, Todd. The hardest question of my life was definitely when I asked my wife if she'd marry me. But a close second was sending that email to Chancellor Diermeier, asking if he would accept the Lamplighter Award. And I was schwitzing for a couple of days, but he was gracious enough not to let me hanging for too long. He said, yes, I'd be delighted to. Thank you so much, Chancellor. Of course, we thank the creator of it all. We thank God. And we're going to have a beautiful ceremony, a blessing ceremony in a little bit. We're going to thank Hashem for all that we have in life, all the blessings, the sweet blessings and the bitter blessings. I want to thank the Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson. Got a chance to watch a video of his remarks about the lamplighter. And for the Rebbe setting us up, developing this vision of a Chabad house, where young whippersnappers could travel across the globe and start a center and a community. And the energy of this vision and the beauty of this vision, which warms me and inspires me to this day. I want to thank Rabbi Tachtel, Chabad of Nashville. We'll have a chance to hear from him in a moment, for enabling us to come to Nashville. My fellow rabbis and rebbetins, my fellow shluchim here at Vanderbilt. We have Rabbi Gavriel Menucha Eisenberg, and Rabbi Shalom Ber and Musi Garari that are here, joined the team. From Vanderbilt itself, we're very honored to have one of my best friends at the school, Darren Riesberg. Darren, can you stand up for a second? Give a little wave. Those of you that have gotten to know Darren, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Darren. And Jonathan Petty. Jonathan, you're amazing. I've gotten to know you recently much, much better. Please stand up and say hello to everybody. Thank you for being here. The Lamplighter patrons are the people that are able to put enough sponsorship into this to really give us the steam we needed. And I want to give a special thank to Abe and Jen Friedman, to Howard and Julie Levine, to Joe and Pam Lubeck, Steve and Diane Miller, and Rachel and Michael Rimland, and a few other families, one particular, which we'll talk about later, who really helped make this happen. Our benefactors for the Lamplighter. Michelle and Darren Black, you guys are rock stars. Rodney Cohen and Cheryl Green, thank you so much for being on the team for so many years. And of course, Tommy Lubeck is a brother. And our Lamplighter hosts. It takes many, many people to make this happen. It takes many donations. It takes outreach. It takes people on the phone and texting and calling, and the finances behind it. So Lenny and Julie Feldman, Michael and Raquel Haas, Jen and David Hammond, Matt and Dana Hiltzig, Chani and Jack Jeter, Jeff and Marcy Katz, Shaul and Pam Kellner, Glenn Levy, Allison and Ori Marmer, Mark and Julie Pereski, Megan David Roth, Cheryl and Glenn Shore, Jen and Stephen Schwartz, Stanley and Nina Snow, Scott and Jessica Srebnick, Rabbi Yitzchak and Esther Tachtel, Lauren and Adam Turtletaub, John and Eliza Weber, Allison and Andrew Wiener, Moshe and Libby Worthen, Nick Seppos, and many other people that wish not to be named tonight. Thank you for being on the team, and thank you for making this happen. With all our heart and soul, this would be impossible to accomplish without your support, without your dollars, without your heart and soul as well. And I look at things like this, and I say to myself, this is a family. This is a mishpacha. So thank you for being part of that mishpacha. Speaking about mishpacha and family, we're very lucky here at Vanderbilt to have a warm Jewish community. And my partner and colleague, Ari Dubin, who's been here for many years and has held the flame, held the torch for so long, helping Jewish life blossom into what it is. We'd be honored if you'd say a few words.
This is such an amazing moment. You know, when I think back to how long we've been here, there were many years where we wouldn't have so many people in one room at one time, and this is so special. to see everyone together and to be part of that celebration as we honor our Chancellor. It really is remarkable, and it is truly special. Those early years were hard. They were challenging. There were some good parts about it. I actually had more children than Shlomo and Nechama did for a couple years. I think it was 2, 3, something like that. Of course, then we gave up. But it is something that it has been so special to have a partner like them for so many years, to be working together arm in arm, to be creating the kind of Jewish experience on campus that made Vanderbilt a destination. And all throughout those years, all that work has come together now thanks to so much of the work that our Chancellor and his team have done. We are so grateful for all of those efforts. I recall after October 7th, shortly after that, we were talking, and he said to me, this is going to be a difficult time, but we're going to get through it, and we're going to make Vanderbilt an example for the country. And they have. And we see year after year in the growth of our community, not just the number, not just the size, but the commitment to Jewish life, to Jewish community that we see it growing year after year. It is truly special to be a part of and to be part of this family effort. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ari. I look forward to many, many years ahead. We'd now like to introduce friend and colleague Rabbi Yitzchak Tachtel, Chabad of Nashville, to share with us a special message.
Almost Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Shabbat does begin shortly. But as we're gathered here tonight to present the Lamplighter Award, recognizing leadership that illuminates and uplifts, it is fitting to share words of our Mishaleach, the one who sent Rabbi Shlomo and I, with Rabbi Gavriel and the other rabbis to town, the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneers, in a blessed memory. The Rebbe has shared guidance and wisdom with thousands of students over his years of leadership. And he spoke about the sacred role of education and the responsibility of those who lead and inspire. In one of his letters to a young student, the Rebbe wrote that an institution of higher learning influences students in 2 ways. First, it imparts knowledge and skills. But second, and perhaps even more important, it shapes character, values, and worldview. It impacts a student's faith, its moral compass, and way of life. And the Rebbe continues, and he says, in our time, can you imagine this was written so many years ago and how apropos it is today? He writes, in our time when outside influences can be negative, and home influence is not as strong as it once was, the second aspect is more critical. For one must choose an institution where the influence is positive, where values and ethics are strengthened. And he closes and he says that our sages teach us that the Jewish people are one family. This means that the lives and choice of each individual is not a private matter. They affect the entire community. And it is especially true of those with the gift and capacity to influence others through education and through leadership, not only in the classroom, but by personal example. And the Rebbe writes, may the Almighty God guide each educator and each student in choosing the right path. And may we all draw inspiration from the Torah, which is ever living and ever new, so that it may illuminate and uplift every aspect of our daily lives. Friends, these timely words that were written so many years ago remind us that true leadership and education is not only measured by academic achievement, but by the ability to shape lives, guide values, and influence the society for the better. And tonight we see those words reflected in the leadership of our Chancellor as he will receive the Lamplighter Award. We recognize him not only as a leader at Vanderbilt, but as a shining example amongst many campuses across the United States. For his vision and his courage inspires students to live with pride in who they are, to stand tall in their Jewish identity without fear, and to become lamplighters themselves, illuminating their surroundings in confidence and faith. I'd also like to take this moment and say that in just a month, it's going to begin the Chai, the 18th year of Chabad of Vanderbilt. Rabbi Shlomo Nechama came here when Mendel was 6 months old. And we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to Rabbi Shlomo and Nechama for their devoted leadership at Chabad of Nashville, Chabad of Vanderbilt, and throughout Nashville, how they affected all. Their tireless dedication ensures that Jewish life on campus is vibrant, welcoming, and filled with warmth, a true home for students and family. So friends, as I close my remarks, I ask that this isn't just another outreach gathering. This is something that is dedicated, we dedicate ourselves to the Rebbe's vision, to light lamps of knowledge and faith wherever we go. May Vanderbilt, under the leadership of our Chancellor, continue to stand tall as a beacon of moral courage, academic excellence, and Jewish pride. And may the flame kindled here in Nashville spread outwards to campuses across America, igniting a brighter, a prouder, a more united Jewish future for generations to come. Thank you, Shabbat Shalom, and Shana Tova.
Thank you, Rabbi Tachtel, for your beautiful words. As we said earlier, this is all about the students, and we're so lucky to have a great leadership board, and a student exec board, and a student general board. But our dear presidents, Ryan and Lexi, you can please come to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all so much for being here today. My name is Lexi Schachter. I am a senior from Yardley, Pennsylvania, and I'm one of the presidents of Chabad this semester.
My name is Ryan Novick. I'm a senior as well from South Florida, and I'm the other president of Chabad for this semester. Thank you guys all so much for being here. This award not only recognizes the incredible work of the Chancellor and his staff, but also all of you guys here today. Parents for bringing up your children in nice Jewish homes, students for coming and making the time for our events, and all the other Jewish orgs on campus that help support our community. When Rabbi Shlomo told us that we were speaking today, we asked him for some guidance on what we should talk about, and he replied to us, tone, very positive, thank the Chancellor, and then add a little bit more. So we want to start by thanking the Chancellor for all the great work that you do. And now we want to take you guys on a little bit of a walk down memory lane about our time that we've had here at Vanderbilt.
Going back to my freshman year of 2022, we had Shabbat at the Center for Spiritual and Religious Life every week with about 20 to 30 students, maybe 50 on a good week. We had a very close Jewish community. It was very easy to get involved, and it very quickly became a home for both of us. Fast forward 1 year later, October 7th, 2023, a time that wrecked the Jewish community here. We had a vigil directly after to start bringing the community together and build ourselves back up after such a travesty. We helped create spaces and new organizations on campus that supported the Jewish community even in the middle of the semester, and we're so thankful for all of the support we received in order to do that.
During that time, no one's responses were perfect, but everyone was there to listen to our concerns, work with us to be able to understand the different perspectives of everyone on campus, and create a truly safe and welcoming environment for everyone on our campus. The community suffered a huge loss, but through that, we also saw a ton of opportunities. We had events like Junity Shabbat, where different Jewish organizations that historically hadn't had our events together came together to bring the Jewish community into one big community. As we got to the next year, we started to really rise up. We had the ribbon cutting ceremony on the beautiful building behind us, which I hope you guys get to check out later. We had over 100 people at almost every Shabbat last year, and people were able to really make the Chabad house a home, and people came, hung out with their friends, did their work. We had 550 people at Rosh Hashanah, we had over 500 people at Passover, and we had over 500 people at Shabbat 500. And with your guys' help, we also can do that this year, and we can go beyond that. So I encourage all of you, if you guys are in town, to RSVP for Rosh on the Lawn. That's coming up on Tuesday.
That was a little bit of a shameless plug, so if you're around, we'd love to have you. But fast forward to now, our senior year. This year has been incredible, off to such a great start, and we couldn't do it without the support of everyone in this room right now. We have around 200 people at Shabbat dinners this year. We had an incredible Holocaust survivor named Maud come to our first Shabbat, and it was incredible to hear from her and hear her story. Our community grows super close every week, and as we grow in number, we still grow in our connections with each other, which is truly incredible. And now we get to celebrate all of that here tonight at Lamplighter with over 600 people in this room today, which is such a testament to the incredible support that the Jewish community at Vanderbilt has.
We want to end with a message of gratitude and hope, along with some words of wisdom for the underclassmen. Thank you to the Chancellor and your staff again for all the great work you guys have done to support us. Thank you to Shlomo, Nechama, and the rest of the Chabad staff for truly making the Chabad house feel like our home away from home. Thank you to the broader Jewish community at Vanderbilt and in Nashville, Hillel, Rabbi Techtel, and everyone else. Thank you to our incredible executive board, Emma, Sarah, Jonathan, Maya, Sophie, Evan, and Molly, who you guys will see up here in a little bit, and for showing up almost every week to all of our events and to all of our meetings. Thank you to our general board and our committees for making Chabad a truly important part of your Vanderbilt experience. And finally, thank you to Lexi for being such a great co-president.
When I first got to campus, no one imagined that we would have a kosher dining hall. No one imagined that we would have 200 people at your average Shabbat. And no one imagined that we would have over 550 people celebrating Rosh Hashanah together on alumni lawn. But all of that happened because of the hard work of the people in this room right now. I can't wait to see what happens in these next 4 years and beyond at Vanderbilt, because I know it will only get more special each year. To our underclassmen, I hope you find the same sense of home in Chabad that we've found in these last 4 years and continue to celebrate your Jewish identities every day. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you all again for being here.
Thank you so much, Lexi. Thank you, Ryan. Spoke straight from the heart. I knew I didn't want to give you too many prompts. That was awesome. See why we love being here? We got the best students in the world. Give them a round of applause. Lexi mentioned it, Ryan mentioned it, and the truth is, when we see a community like this kind of one community, it comes to the fore that we love our job. We love hanging out with your children. We love hanging out with the students and teaching and making events and celebrating, but we really couldn't do it. And the way the Torah looks at donors is not just donors, it's actually real partners. It's called Yisachar and Zevulun, name of two tribes. One would sit and study, and the other would support them. And we look at partnership that way. When I see somebody who is involved, they give their heart and soul, you are a partner in everything that we do. And on behalf of all the partners in this room, and there's so many of you, and I look forward to getting to know you more and spending more time together, there's one partner who put their name on everything that we do. Joe and Pam Lubeck. You are partners in every single smile that happens in this place, in every feeling of home, and every tear that's shed on a shoulder, and all the love that people have. You're a partner in every mitzvah, in every good deed that's done here. You're a partner in the lives of countless, countless students. You make the world better every single moment. I'm so deeply honored and grateful and thankful to you for being a part of my life, for giving us the Lubeck Center, and for all that you do for us on a day-to-day. It'd be an honor for you to join me in the front and share a few words with the crowd.
Rabbi, thank you so much. I'm not sure what words of wisdom I can add after the lovely talk and dedications and recognitions, most importantly, of the students and the student leadership. Of course, to all of you who are here and are present and have participated in the growth, not only of the Jewish community, but of the spirit of the entire Vanderbilt community and the amazing leadership of the Chancellor and of the other members of the Vanderbilt leadership, the Vanderbilt teachers, and all of the above. My wife and I, my wife Pam is here with us. We're together now almost 40 years, and it's been an amazing ride, and she's been incredibly tolerant, is all I can say. But as the Rebbe has taught us, the blessing is on the giver. The blessing is on the fact that Hashem put us in a position to be able to share in our success and to be partners with leaders like Shlomo and Nachama and the other members of the team here. And typically when we've been philanthropic, we usually don't put our names on things. But also, as Shlomo taught me, he said, the Rebbe said, we understand the Maimonides hierarchy of giving and that to give anonymously is blessed, but there's now an exception, and that is where perhaps through use of your name that can help bring others in, and hopefully that's the case. But we're not in the business of building monuments. We're in the business of empowering others, and to quote a famous phrase, build it and they will come, and clearly with the leadership that you have here at the Chabad of Vanderbilt, and also under Rabbi Ari at the Hillel, that you have amazing Jewish leadership here. But most importantly, I want to talk a little bit about Jewish life on campus. And after October 7th, I volunteered for the IDF. Unfortunately, they didn't want 65-year-old Americans. So I had been involved over the years with various programs at campuses, and honestly, I wasn't surprised by what happened. Many people were. Many of us were shocked. Honestly, I wasn't. My grandfather was a 1916 graduate of Cornell. At that time, while he was one of just a handful of Jews who were admitted, he was not allowed to live on campus. There was terrible discrimination. And he wrote an interesting article at that time called The Jewish Student on Campus, now over 100 years ago. And ironically, it was still very timely. I won't bore you with the whole story or of my story where I've truly been blessed in every way by Hashem and by the blessing of growing up in the United States of America and the opportunities that's provided for me. But the conclusion that my grandfather made in his article that was called The Jewish Student on Campus, he said, as a Jew, you need to be strong, you need to be proud, you need to stand up for yourself. They may not like you more or less, but they will respect you more. And that, I think, is a key thing that all of our students here have shown. Now, we're here to honor the Chancellor and, of course, the rest of the Vanderbilt team for the Lamplighter Award. And that's a very specific and very special meaning to that award, because to light the lamp is to shed light. And that's what we as Jews want to do, that's what the educators want to do, and frankly, that's what all of humanity should be doing. Unfortunately, these days, there's sometimes a lot of darkness, but a very small lamp can spread a lot of light. And I think that as I travel, and I'm involved now in probably about 65 campuses, in trying to spread not just respect for Jews, but respect for everybody, and to create atmospheres of free speech, free debate, and free disagreement, that needs to be done in a collegial and appropriate and respectful manner. Of course, I wish everybody agreed with me, and I wish everyone supported our positions, but that's a lot to ask. The reality is that there's two sides to everything. One may be right, one may be wrong, but people may be misinformed, maybe have their own views, their own history. The key to the university is to create an atmosphere where different ideas can be shared, discussed, and debated, and yet can still be done respectfully, can be done safely, and can be done through mutual growth and mutual respect. And I'm very grateful to all the members of this community, Jewish, Christian, black, white, blue, green, doesn't matter. We're all here to grow and to learn. As I travel around the different campuses, and just in the last few months, I've had meetings and been asked to advise at Cornell, at Penn, at a number of different universities. And I've been asked on a regular basis, well, what suggestions do you have? And of course, some of them are obvious. But they say, well, what do you really think we should do? And the answer, in all sincerity, is very simple. I tell them, Vanderbilt set the gold standard in this country. And I'm so grateful, not just for the impact that it had here and on the student body, but the example that it has set for university leadership throughout the country. And I've tried to pass that spirit on. You showed strength. The community here showed not only strength in supporting the Jewish community, but in making the campus safe for respectful debate and making it safe that there could be discussion and there could be learning without hate, without threats, and this was just handled perfectly. It was handled early. It was handled without force, which now sometimes is being done through withdrawing money and other things. But I'm sure it's already being reflected in the applications for Vanderbilt, that people want to come here. They want to not only come to a great place of learning, but a place of respect, a place of free speech, a place of safety for all, regardless of your religion, your origin, or your orientation. And Chancellor and team, bless you for everything you've done here. It's, as you see, with the support of Shlomo and Rabbi Ari and others, and most importantly, the students, this has become a true center of knowledge, a center of debate, and a center of discussion, and it will never be forgotten.
Thank you so much, Joe. Your words are beautiful. Your actions are beautiful. Everyone can learn from Vanderbilt, and everyone can learn from you. We're going to take a little bit of a speaking break right now. On your chairs, you have boxes. See little boxes? Open up the boxes. There's a card there. It's a blessing card. It's not going to be a whole Seder, but we're going to do a couple blessings. You see, in life, gratitude is the most beautiful and true way to see the world. And gratitude is the kind of thing that when you say thank you to a person, you end up also saying thank you to other people. You also end up saying thank you to God, and vice versa. If one truly is able to thank God for their blessings, they end up seeing the blessings and the goodness in other people as well. It's reciprocal. So right now, as we gather together to thank people, it also reminds us of thanking the Creator, thanking Hashem. We're going to start with a few blessings. The apples. Rosh Hashanah is coming up. Take an apple, right? Grab an apple and make a bracha with me. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Borei, Peri, Ha'etz. Can use a little honey. This blessing, which is a blessing on fruits, represents all the sweetness we have in life, the delights we have in life. We thank God for the delights we have in life. On the opposite, there's yellow pineapple. Pineapple, although it tastes like a fruit, it grows from a plant. We make a hadamah on this. Grab a little piece of pineapple and say with me, Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Borei, Peri, Ha'adamah. Sometimes vegetables are bitter, but the truth is, everything that comes into our life, whether it comes in the form of sweetness or it comes in the form of bitterness, is all a blessing. We thank God for that too. Now take a pretzel, unless you're gluten-free or celiac, then don't take the pretzel. And we'll make a blessing on wheat-based fruits, wheat-based foods. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Borei, Minei, Mizonot. Take a bite. I am gluten-free, so I will not eat that pretzel. As you're eating the pretzel, that blessing is blessing God for sustenance, for grains, sustaining us and carrying us and nourishing us, having a life filled with goodness. We thank God for that. And the last but not least, we've got delicious warmed chocolate truffles. Keep them in the wrapper, but you could. It's already pre-melted. It's like that marshmallow. It's already pre-roasted for you. We're going to make a shahakol. This means thanking God for everything. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, shahakol, nihiyah, bidvaro. Take a bite of that. That means thank you, God, that everything came into existence with your word. And may you be blessed to have a life filled with blessings, to always be able to say thank you for the sweetness in life, to have the perspective to say thank you for the challenges of life, to have a life filled with sustenance, and where you look at hakol, everything as a blessing. We thank the Chancellor, we thank our partners, we thank our students, we thank Hashem for all the goodness we have. We now have the ramp up to the moment you've all been waiting for. we're going to finally reveal what is underneath that tablecloth. What is the Lamplighter Award, after all? Before that, we are very honored to have a special guest, which I told them earlier. I said there was one RSVP, but when they saw his name on it, now there's about 750 in this row. Internationally acclaimed author, thinker, host of the famous podcast Call Me Back, and becoming a friend. We started chatting at 7:30 a.m. late at night. Dan, I hope this goes on for a long time. Everybody, give it up for Dan Senior!
I was waiting to see what my walkout song would be. So, as each person came out, I was like, what's left in the jukebox? It is a pleasure to be here with all of you, and it is so great to see so many of you. I think this is a community, I can honestly say, where Jewish students on Vanderbilt do not feel alone. But the other thing I've been struck by about Vanderbilt is how happy everybody is. So I just want to give you a little background. I visited Vanderbilt for the first time about 10 months ago. And I saw it then. Everyone was so happy and joyful and enthusiastic. And I was with Chancellor Diermeier. I'm like, Daniel, what's the secret here? Like, there's something going on here. What's the formula? And he said, I will give you the precise formula for happiness. Now, he's a data-driven guy. And he leaned in and he said, Vanderbilt 20, Alabama 14. Now, some of you may be wondering how I know the Chancellor. I am not an alumnus of Vanderbilt. I am not a parent. I'm not with the faculty or the administration. I actually have only known Daniel Diermeier for just under 3 years. But sometimes first impressions can tell you everything. And I first met Daniel, it was kind of spring of 2023, and he was leading a delegation from Vanderbilt to Israel. And someone we know in common suggested that we talk to help him think about the trip, because one of the things he was focused on was how Israel, and specifically Tel Aviv, was this innovation juggernaut, and what Vanderbilt could learn from this ecosystem in Israel. And so I helped him plan the trip, and we kept in touch a little bit. And I met him again that summer, actually for the first time in person, summer of 2023, at a conference we were both at. And this is just as I was putting a book to bed. The book was The Genius of Israel, that was supposed to be and was published on November 7th, 2023. So here we are in the summer of 2023. And during that weekend, and he heard me talk a little bit about the book that was coming, and Daniel said, you know, when the book is published, you really should come speak at Vanderbilt. I said, great. And I was planning to speak at a number of universities following the book's publication. And then October 7th happened. And both myself and those leading various universities agreed that a month after October 7th, doing a bunch of speeches on campus about Israel was not great timing. And so we all agreed we would, quote unquote, reschedule them. Now, rescheduling them for many universities meant different things. Rescheduling at some universities meant you'll never hear from us again. And you were really, like you were totally ghosted. I was totally ghosted. Other universities, and I'm not going to name names tonight. You know, it's Shabbos, it's almost Shabbos. We're going to the Chagim. I'm not going to name names, but some universities did reschedule. And then when I got to campus, it was this weird thing because I was giving a talk, but it felt like nobody knew I was giving a talk at this campus. I'm thinking of one in particular. It's a very elite university in the Northeast whose name I won't mention. And I soon realized that they went to great lengths to not promote the event or the topic, lest it be too divisive or too controversial. So they just had this local Jewish organization, you know, communicate with Jewish students, and that's it, and keep it kind of on the down low. One event I spoke at with a former prime minister of Israel, we were in conversation. The tickets for the event, this ticketing system got hacked by one of the anti-Israel groups on campus, and they were going to flood the event with just their people. And the head of the university got so spooked by this entire situation, they just shut down the event entirely rather than providing sufficient security so the event could continue. And then they put me and this former prime minister in a small room. They invited a few Jewish students, and they had us live stream it into people's dorm rooms so they could sit at their desks and watch it. So we just sort of felt like we were on the run. I want to contrast that with my experience here. October 7th came and went. About a month or two later, Chancellor Diermeier reached out to me. He says, remember I said we got to reschedule that event? I said, yes. He says, let's reschedule it. I said, fine. We picked a date. Some of you in this here came up to me tonight who were at that event. Except it wasn't going to be just a Chabad or Hillel event, or that would be great. But you'll remember, Rabbi, that the Chancellor made it clear that this was his event. This was a university event, okay? Chancellor Diermeier came to the event, opened the event, introduced me, put his stamp on the event, and the effect of that was, yes, the event had strong Jewish community presence, as well as people from all walks of campus life, exactly how they do it here at Vanderbilt. And so, and by the way, that same day, as folks from the administration knew I was coming to speak, they said, oh, and also while you're here, can you go meet with this class? Can you go meet with this group of students? Can you go speak to this class? So they weren't like quietly ushering me around. Someone with my views and my public persona, they wanted me out there and engaging. And I just cannot tell you, I'll put it this way. We Jews know what it's like to be tolerated and to be welcomed. And I will just tell you my entire experience with Vanderbilt under the leadership of the Chancellor has been a Jew that has been welcomed. So I'll just close by saying in a few days, it is Rosh Hashanah, as the rabbi talked to us about, and many of us will be reading in synagogues about Abraham, the father of the Jewish people. And when I think about Abraham, I think about one of my intellectual heroes, William F. Buckley, who said how he was asked to define a conservative intellectual. This is back in the 50s or 60s. And the way he described this profile is the way I think of how one would describe Jews, and specifically Abraham. And he said, in this case, to be a conservative is someone who, and I'm quoting here, someone who stands athwart history yelling stop at a time when no one is inclined to do so. Now, Abraham, as I said, the first Jew, certainly did stand athwart history. He stood athwart the political and religious trends of the time, of his time. He's referred to in the Bible as Avraham HaIvri, which means Abraham the Hebrew. But the literal translation of his name is one who stands on the other side. Abraham was one who stands on the other side. And I know you all know Chancellor Diermeier for what he's done here to promote viewpoint diversity and civic dialogue in the civic square, and not just tolerating Jews here, Jewish students here, but welcoming them. But I will say nationally, one of the reasons I personally have become fascinating with the work Chancellor Diermeier has been doing over the last several years is nationally at a time when so much of higher education sometimes feels like a suffocating monoculture. You have in here someone who was literally standing on the other side of that, who was literally saying stop and thwarting history. And so I say this as a Jewish parent, I say this as an American citizen. There's nothing I could think of that is more important for higher education in America today than the leadership that you have demonstrated, and I just want to thank you.
The students walking through campus today, they're the ones who will shape the world tomorrow. Their ideas, their voices, their courage, they are the architects of society itself. For generations, universities have been crucibles of thought, a place where ideas collide, where debate sparks, where knowledge gets tested. But in recent years, those spaces have shifted. Shouting has replaced dialogue. Fear has silenced expression. Civility has too often given way to hostility and division. And then came October 7th. Alongside the devastating attacks on Israel, we saw a sharp rise in anti-Semitism and extremism on college campuses. Jewish students faced harassment, isolation, intimidation. Some were even told not to walk openly on their own campus. Where there should have been bridges, walls were built. A darkness fell over places that were meant to be centers of learning. Vanderbilt felt it too. There were calls for BDS. Protests turned aggressive. Rules were broken. Jewish students were harassed online.
Students are trying to go after each other.
They would shout at Jewish students, "Go back to Poland," or chants singing, "Bomb Tel Aviv."
Anti-Israel propaganda and modern-day blood libels were shouted across campus.
With the rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses, the Anti-Defamation League rated 85 of the nation's top schools in its new campus anti-Semitism report card. Vanderbilt University received a C grade.
Many Jewish students felt marginalized, othered by their own peers. One student even said, "I asked a classmate to talk and they refused simply because I was Jewish, as if I wasn't human." But in that darkness, a lamp was lit.
Ich seh nicht kein Lanternes. Dem der Rebbe nicht mal sehen geentfert, mit davon heben von sich. A Reis gehen von Grobkeit und waschen sich. Als mir allein grob, setzt man Grobkeit. Als mir wird edel, ist demol setzt man beim zweiten Nechet Edelkeit.
Chancellor Daniel Diermeier stood firm. With courage, clarity, and compassion, he restored order, reaffirmed freedom of expression, and protected the very soul of the university. He stood for institutional neutrality, for civil discourse, for free expression, refusing to let fear decide the values of the school. And Vanderbilt was recognized for it. They received an A rating from the Anti-Defamation League, a green speech code rating from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. Not recognition for being popular, but recognition for standing on principle.
Well, after receiving a C on their ADL campus anti-Semitism report card last year, Vanderbilt University is now being assigned an A rating.
We're committed, as one Vanderbilt, to celebrating our diversity of backgrounds and to protecting each and every individual within our university community.
And under Chancellor Diermeier's leadership, Jewish life at Vanderbilt hasn't just survived, it's flourished. In August 2024, the new home of Chabad, the Lubbock Center for Jewish Life, opened its doors. A kosher dining hall was added in Zeppos Tower, vital resources for a thriving Jewish community on campus. Participation at Vanderbilt Chabad is at an all-time high. Weekly Shabbat dinners, social gatherings, Torah classes, campus-wide celebrations like Rosh Hashanah dinner, where 550 students gathered on alumni lawn. A community-wide Passover Seder that brought hundreds together. Jewish life at Vanderbilt has never been more dynamic, more visible, or more vibrant. And it's not only the Jewish community. Students of all faiths, all backgrounds are choosing Vanderbilt, knowing this is a place where they can thrive, a place where their identities are respected, their voices are valued, a place that has made a clear commitment to education, not indoctrination. In Chabad tradition, a lamplighter is someone who carries the flame, but doesn't keep it for themselves. They use it to light other lamps for all to benefit.
Hat einer von der Chassidim gefragt, was ist ein Chassid? Hat ihm der Rebbe nicht mal sehen geantwortet, als ein Chassid ist das ein Lanternenstück. Eine Lanterne heißt das ein Panas, ein Fanar, was mit 10 Tonnen Gas gedreht zu machen, lichte Kehr bei Nacht. Was geht herum mit einem kleinen Stecken und weiß, dass der Feier nicht seiner. Und was aber sein Indien mit dem Feier soll gehen und anzünden die alle Laternen.
Chancellor Diermeier is a true lamplighter. He carries the flame at Vanderbilt, keeping the university a place where all students can thrive, in safety, in civility, and in freedom of expression.
When those type of speeches constitute a sense of harassment, intimidation, threats, which basically is our responsibility to make sure that our students can participate fully in the educational experience without harassment, without discrimination.
And he is actively setting the example and inspiring universities everywhere on best practices in today's day and age. So tonight, with gratitude and appreciation, the Rohr Chabad House at Vanderbilt is proud to present the Lamplighter Award to Chancellor Daniel Diermeier. Please join me in welcoming the Chancellor of Vanderbilt University, Chancellor Daniel Diermeier.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chancellor Daniel Diermeier! The Lamplighter Award, in this tradition of sharing the light, is actually a beautiful silver menorah. Lamplighter Award presented to Chancellor Daniel Diermeier by Rohr Chabad House at Vanderbilt University, September 19th, 2025, for courageous, compassionate leadership that makes Vanderbilt a shining example of a university where Jewish students and all students thrive in safety, civility, and freedom of expression.
Thank you, Shlomo. I am deeply honored and humbled to accept this award on behalf of our entire university community. In addition to everyone here at Vanderbilt Chabad, I want to thank Vanderbilt Hillel, the Jewish Federation of Greater Nashville, and Nashville's entire Jewish community, which has been so generous in embracing our students. Over the past several years, Vanderbilt has gained a reputation for being a school where Jewish students can thrive. Many have noticed that our approach has been different from those at many other top universities, and you just heard examples of that in the speeches before. So I've been asked what our secret is. The answer is there is no secret. At Vanderbilt, we're clear who we are. We're committed to a set of shared values, and these values guide us in everything we do. That includes, especially, our commitment to free expression, which dates back at least to the 1960s and to our fifth chancellor, Alexander Hurd. This commitment rests on three pillars. The first is open forums, where issues can be discussed freely without the threat of censorship or retribution. And this tradition of free speech actually goes back a long way in Vanderbilt's history. It goes back at least to 1967, when our students created an event which was called the Impact Series, the Impact Symposia, which in 1967, and please let that sink in, 1967 in Nashville, brought speakers such as Storm Thurmond and Stokely Carmichael to campus. Needless to say, immediately people asked for the head of the chancellor. But the board protected him, and the chancellor protected the students. The second pillar is institutional neutrality. You heard a lot about that. That is our commitment that I and the rest of the university will not take positions on social or political issues not directly connected to the core functioning of the university. Thank you. This means in particular that we will not use our endowment for political purposes or boycott vendors. The corrosive BDS movement, so alien to our academic purpose, has no place at Vanderbilt. And the third pillar of our commitment to free expression is civil discourse. Our commitment to constructed conversation and debate that is characterized by respect, a willingness to listen, and to be persuaded by the better argument, and not rushing to moral condemnation of our opponents, but remember what we have in common as members of one living, learning community. You heard a lot about what life was like after October 7th on this campus. But I want to share with you what happened in the aftermath of the horrible death of Charlie Kirk. First, our vibrant chapters of College Democrats and College Republican issued a joint statement condemning the horrible shooting and decrying political violence, and in particular, reaffirming the country's need for civil discourse. Students discuss the issues in class. My favorite example of that is a class which is, I think, 120 students at this point, which is called Free Speech and Dangerous Ideas. All they do is talk about controversial topics. We also had a respectful vigil on campus last week where we all came together to commemorate the event. We codify our pillars of free expression and our rules, and our expectations of the campus community. We make sure everyone is aware of them, and then we act accordingly. That is what makes us all members of one living, learning community, guided by the same purpose and grounded in the same values. That is the Vanderbilt difference. Vanderbilt's motto is Crescere Audi. If you have good eyesight, you can see it here at the bottom. Dare to grow in English. We aim to be the destination for the most promising students, faculty, and staff, and to create an environment where they can thrive. And we believe that we grow best when we are members of a community that is both challenging and supportive. We strive to welcome and support our Jewish students in many ways, from our climate of respectful discourse to compelling courses in Jewish studies to a dining hall open to all students that serves delicious kosher meals. A few weeks ago, as we began the new year, I was gratified when orientations at Chabad and Hillel were overflowing with first-year students. That tells me that what we are doing at Vanderbilt is working. Some may wonder whether our commitment to an environment where all students can thrive is at odds with a fierce commitment to free expression. But these values are not in conflict. Advocacy groups such as FIRE and the Anti-Defamation League, you just saw it in the video, have recognized as leaders in free expression and in creating an environment where Jewish students can thrive. Universities must protect open dialogue and a living learning community because our work is impossible without them. And of course, as you all know, discussion and debate are essential to Jewish life. Which other tradition encourages discussions, underlined, of the concept of freedom in one of these most sacred holidays? And it is no accident that a core part of the Passover Seder is structured around questions. But dialogue and discourse rely on principles, values, and rules. They require a commitment to treat each other with respect as members of one community, deeply committed in trying to get to the right answer, to figure things out together. Participation, was there clapping? I don't know. I don't want to interrupt. I certainly don't want to interrupt applause. Participating in dialogue and discourse requires not only a willingness to speak, but a willingness to listen. Not only a willingness to make your point but a willingness to be convinced by somebody else's well-supported view, a willingness to accept the forceless force of the better argument. For discourse and learning to flourish, we must ensure that their basis, our principles, values, and rules stay firm. Dialogue, debate, and discussion must never decay into intimidation, threats, and violence as we saw in the spring of 2024. And it is in this context that our duty to be on guard against anti-Semitism is so important. What makes anti-Semitism so pernicious is that it is, to quote, the hate which dare not speak its name. Its discriminatory and exclusionary intent is cloaked in other issues. Its hatred is expressed, then denied. Journalist Brett Stephen, who joined us on campus a few weeks after October 7th, called it, and I quote, a shape-shifting virus which has persisted over centuries and across cultures and political systems because it is able to attach itself to the reigning or at least fashionable convictions of the day. We know what happens when we allow anti-Semitism to go unanswered. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs said, the appearance of anti-Semitism in a culture is the first symptom of a disease, the early warning sign of collective breakdown. This is why vibrant Jewish life is not disconnected from the rest of the university, but at the core of it. It is a leading indicator of a healthy campus environment in which all students can thrive, live, learn, and grow together without fear. The Lamplighter Award honors those that light the way. This is the role that universities at their best have long played and must play now. If Vanderbilt can be a beacon in dark times, we are living up to our mission. And I gratefully accept this award on behalf of everyone in our university committee who have earned it. Thank you.
What's happening now is those people that have RSVP'd for the Shabbat dinner, if you can please come inside on the second floor for Shabbat dinner. And those people that have not RSVP'd for Shabbat dinner or not part of it, please enjoy the beautiful buffet in the back and hang out and schmooze. Thank you so much for coming here.